Thank you, gentlemen. Right, next up, it's all about the experience. So we have Lisa Turton, Head of Premium Sales at First Direct Arena Leeds. We've got Maxwell Fenton, who's Director of International Business Development at Elevate. We've got Paul Birk, Commercial Manager for UK and Europe at HumanForce. We've got Keith Shorten, Head of Commercial at Ulster Rugby, and John Sheehan of SportsVenueBusiness is going to moderate. Over to you.
Hi again, everyone. So it's all about the experience. We're here this afternoon with my great panel, just to talk about the fan journey, the customer experience, how it's evolving, and what's new. So I'll just get the panel to introduce themselves first.
Hi everyone, Keith Shorten, Ulster Rugby, Head of Commercial.
Hello, yeah. Paul Birk, Commercial Manager for HumanForce.
Hi, I'm Max Fenton, Director of International Business Development at Elevate.
And Lisa Turton from First Direct Arena, Head of Premium Sales.
We sort of had a couple of little meetings and chatted about where the fan journey begins and ends, and I think we're going to start at the beginning. Why not?
Thank you. So fan journey, where does it begin? It's a very good point. Prior to discussion earlier, prior to my way down here, I was thinking it's the first touch point. It's the first point of whether it's social media. It's the first point of whether it's direct marketing. It's the first point of where a potential fan, a potential customer sees Ulster Rugby in the media. But then it got me thinking, actually, is that the first point? Or is the first point when they see an Ulster Rugby shirt, a hat, general apparel, in and around the streets of Belfast, further afield, which led on to a very interesting conversation we had, which I don't want to step on the toes of, but where is the first point?
Yeah, I think it's a good point to make, because when we come to venues like this and we visit these fantastic conferences, we have these great sporting events, live entertainment, and all that experience that you come back, take away. Actually, where it starts is the people that deliver on those, on those experiences. So who am I talking about? This is almost like the forgotten stakeholder that you have, and that is the employees that are delivering, from a people operations perspective, all the services, from the lighting, the production, through to the chefs that create the great menus. Shout out to everyone at Aramark today. But yeah, so everyone involved in that experience actually are those people. And it's important for them and their journey to be, in terms of development, their growth, keeping them engaged, keeping them happy, fun, money, learning, all those things combined. And that's what then impacts that experience at the other side.
Max?
Yeah, I think from my side, I'd probably start even a little bit earlier in the sales process, when you have that initial kind of inquiry, or you have that initial contact with the person who's actually going to be looking to book to come to an event. I think obviously there's a big focus on tech and data and insights here today, which I completely understand. Like I say, a lot of it goes over my head, I'm not going to lie. But, I think there is a lot that we can we can look at from that initial contact and the training that goes into actually selling the story, because as much as people like the convenience of booking online and those kind of things, I think what I've noticed from, especially of high ticket items, that they still want to talk to that person, whether it be WhatsApp or over the phone. They still want that initial contact. And for me, that's kind of where the fan experience can really start, and that's where they start building the trust and then can make a decision from there.
And then to sort of lead on from what Max was saying, it's the build-up once they've made that purchase, sort of getting them excited. In sort of arena world, people can buy tickets 18 months in advance, and it's just keeping in touch with them, you know, sending them the playlist of the favourite artists. You know, people are really conscious about what to wear, especially in premium areas. So thinking things like, oh, send them like a little style guide, things like that. And then arriving at a venue and sort of feeling part of something. The AO Arena did something amazing. They had 3 nights of Elton John. When you got off the train in Victoria Station, you hit a yellow brick road, and it's just feeling like you've really arrived at something special.
So yeah, I was going to jump on that. It's also important to look at your partners first of all, but then also who is your customer. In the world of sport, in the world of rugby, we've got 2 very different, distinct groups. We've got our season tickets, who, you know, we've got loyalty there, we've got lifelong fans. However, they regularly score us the lowest on our NPS because they come week in, week out, and their experience is heavily determined by the performance of the team, whether it's a win, lose, or draw. And then you've got your first-time customers, those who are key to bring back, and we will regularly find that they will have by far the highest NPS, so they are having the best customer experience at every single point of their customer journey, but they're the hardest to bring back because you don't have that loyalty. So it's how you can address both sides of, and I mean, that's just 2 very large distinct groups. This will change depending on whether it's music or whether it's other sports, but how you can address the different experiences within different groups of customers is key.
Is that a generational thing? Are we now seeing a push to attract younger audiences, and you know, obviously the average fan seems to be getting older. How do you attract younger audience with your experiential offering?
I'll give a quick overview from the rugby world. So new market is key. You know, those who attend rugby games regularly will know that the core demographic is slightly older, you know, historically male-dominated. We are doing a lot as Ulster Rugby with the IRFU of growing other aspects of the game, really focusing on women, focusing on the youth game, focusing on the domestic league, to bring new supporters through, whether it's gamification, whether it's trying to build the profile of our rugby players, the stars of tomorrow, in order to give the younger fans and the new fans a sense of belonging, so they can elevate their experience because they feel that connection to the team, to whoever is on the pitch. And I mean, for us, women's sport is key. Women rugby is absolutely key. It's the fastest growing sport in Ireland. You know, starting from a low base, but it is key to bring new people into the market. So it's key for us. It's key for domestic clubs, and it's key for, you know, right up there a few of how we can deliver a different experience to the younger fan base, to the newer female supporters, the family market, you know, where we need to engage to grow the game and to keep the game alive.
Yeah.
So we've really had to diversify our packages. We fixed arena with fixed spaces, and we have 105 events a year, and that can be anything from Disney on Ice, when your average visitor's 3 years old and just wants to meet Mickey Mouse. And then we go right up to things like Andre Rieu, Andre Bocelli, where your average audience member is between 60 to 75. So obviously not all of those customers want the same things, so it's really diversifying the packages, the experiences. So you're not going to give a Disney audience a 3-course fine dine meal. Likewise, I don't think anyone coming to Andre Bocelli wants a pizza slice. So we've really worked hard on diversifying those packages. So for like a younger teenage audience, it's a parent's purchase. But what's important to those fans is getting in early, getting into the front, bonding with their peers, sort of really being part of that fan-based community. The older audiences, they want a seat, they want a toilet, they want a fast entry and a lovely meal to start their evening with.
Yeah, I think mirror what everybody else has said there. I think from our point of view, we have a really strong relationship with the Circuit of America's F1 track in Texas. So in and around that, you know, I think all of the, you know, kind of the chat today and, you know, last night and, you know, generally is all around that sort of experiential side of things. And, you know, we're looking to, through our experiences kind of vertical called Elevate X is really just try and sort of, manage that from when their feet hit the ground in Austin, taking them to the track, private shopping experiences, experiences where they can go and, have like cowboy boots fitted and cowboy hats and all of those kind of things in and around the actual kind of main event of a race weekend in Texas, as well as, kind of taking in the, kind of the musical heart of the city and book them to see bands and restaurants and that kind of thing as well.
Paul?
Yeah, there is an interesting conversation I had yesterday with Lisa, and I'm proud to say that we work in partnership with ASM Global. Now, in terms of the people operations team, we were talking about the guys that, again, that are providing the services, and their age group, etc., that will help to drive potentially what is it that my age group or in terms of driving that experience at the other end, but they get the feedback from the people operations team internally to help them in sort of creation of that event and the innovation going forward.
I'd sort of actually just jump in on something that has come through in nearly every single presentation today. Certainly something that Robert touched on about partners. And Lisa, I'm sure you'll be able to understand this I know you don't have a huge team. As someone who used to work for AG, we don't have a huge team. To be able to work with your partners and trust your partner are going to be able to deliver to the standard that you expect, and that you are a partnership. You're not thinking it's them and us. It's one team. You have to deliver as a team. Because I don't want to be apologising for actions of my partner, and I just need to be able to trust that my partner will deliver to the level that's expected, because ultimately they are under the brand of Ulster Rugby. So it's really important to have that relationship.
Yeah, 100%. We rely a lot on casual workforces, and it's really getting that buy-in from those members of staff, treating them like part of the full-time team, not just as people who drop in and out, making sure they really buy into our ethos and they're sort of a representation of us on the front line.
Anyone else on that?
Yeah, it's a couple of comments, I think, just in addition. But we all talk about the experience of a fan and the feedback we get there and NPS scores. But it's equally important, I think, again, from a delivery perspective, what went well on the night, what went after a shift, or what went well after a particular event. Getting that feedback to then shape future events is pretty important, and I believe it brings the teams more into a sort of inclusive environment from an employer's perspective.
Yeah. And just sort of moving on a bit, we're interested in what is the definition of a great experience. Can we define it, or is that impossible?
I mean, for me, definition of a great experience is when you go away and you tell people about it. Every business, every entertainment, whether it's sports, music, theatre, whatever it may be, it's getting your customers to go back out there, and the next day when they're standing at a kids football, rugby, whatever, pitch at 9 a.m, potentially with a bit of a sore head, but they're telling the parents around them, I went to X, Y, Z last night, and it was bloody fantastic. The communication was great. I turned up, was fantastic. I had great F&B. The show was brilliant. It was great to get out afterwards. I would highly recommend it. And it's, word of mouth. That's how you grow the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, it would be, something you just can't wait to do again, which again, I think hits into what you've just said, but also needs to be, engaging, kind of comfortable, inclusive environment as well, but, something that you can really, try and sort of personalize. And I think that's where, we, again, going back to kind of data and insights and all of those kind of things, I think we can sometimes miss the personable bit of actually going around on a match day, on a game day, meeting these people, having these conversations, and really just kind of like growing those relationships and getting to know people on a personal level rather than just a number on a screen.
Yeah, exactly that. It's knowing the person, and like Vicky from Everton said this morning, it's not about cookie cutter experiences. It's what makes a good experience is what the individual wants, not what we think 50 people want at the same time.
Yeah, so again, from a people experience perspective, I think going back and what's a great experience for the teams that are sitting behind these great events. It's also then recognising and rewarding them for what they've done and what they've achieved, and that only serves to sort of better engage them going forward.
And people,
No.
people seem to have ever higher expectations, and I think one of the questions we had was, what steps can we take to elevate the client experience to be able to deliver on those higher expectations?
I think at every tier of customer, there's going to be a level of expectations. So you need to ensure that as a minimum, you meet those expectations. You need to exceed them, really. Every business, I mean, for me, I want somebody to come along, first time, a terrace ticket, the lowest entry point, have a great time, tell their friends, come back the next game, 3 friends, they sit in the grandstand, they have another bloody great time, so they come back again, they try hospitality. They have another great time, they bring more people, they talk to more people, they bring corporates in, that turns into sponsorship. But it's important that you have your different tiers, your different levels of delivery, and you ensure you know what the customer needs. And again, it's been said many times today, things change so fast. F&B changes quickly, merchandising requirements change quickly. What people expect for halftime entertainment changes quickly. We've got a new pitch that got installed last year because people want to see quicker, faster rugby. They want to see more tries. You need to try and stay a step ahead. There's no point investing and dithering and wondering, and then 2 years after your competitors have invested, you think actually, Odyssey are doing fantastic with their walk-in. Maybe we should do that. You've missed the boat. You've missed the expectation of that is what is expected. You're instantly behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, really simply, it's, again, just on that initial touch point and that relationship building, I think it's just, in order to, you've just got to understand those expectations, really. And I think as long as you have clear channels of communication, exactly what the product's going to be, what to expect on the day, the worst things coming in, I had experiences in the past, can be a really small thing like, oh, we thought we were going to be on a round table, or we thought we were going to be on this, or I thought we were going to be able to see X, Y, and Z from there. Just having that clear communication so there's no nasty surprises on the day, and then throwing a bit of surprise and delight on the day. I think Kate touched on it with the F1 experiences, who do it really, really well, and I think other sports have got quite a lot to learn from that, from just an access piece. For me, it would just be managing those expectations and then, really just trying to over-deliver on them.
Completely, and as Kate said, or should I say Kate from heaven, said earlier, people want more now. They don't just want to buy a ticket, add a little bit of premium on it. They want that whole 360 experience. They want to put it on Instagram. They want bragging rights. They want more and more, and it's down to us as venues and professionals to keep up with trends on the market and look at what's really going to enhance and make that experience stand out.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to say, and the key thing is when you look at what you're going to change, what you're going to invest in, it has to be about a return. It's so cutthroat out there. People have so many different options as a consumer that if you aren't providing the level of technology, the level of experience, they will go elsewhere. But you need to ensure whatever you're spending to provide that level is going to provide a return for you. And if not, then it's potentially not the right investment. And then you have to look at something else.
That's interesting. So in terms of data and using data during an event or post-event, you can use that to drive, obviously, changes to improve the experience. And I can give you some examples. So, again, in terms of some of the clients that we have, they would use the information in terms of which areas as hotspots would require additional staffing to enable that better experience. Where from a F&B or retail perspective, which food items, etc., are more. So what I'm looking for?
Popular.
Yeah, popular, absolutely. Yeah, so which are more popular, and then it's things that it's data like that will then drive a better experience for future events.
And we've we've heard in a couple of the other panels about trends, and I think in the last one was talk about everything could be going all inclusive. And what trends are you seeing in 2024, and what trends do you expect to see going forward?
I mean, from a rugby point of view, and I think sport in general, we've seen people are more willing to pay more for experiences. And actually, it's not just rugby. From my time in entertainment, it's a trend that's prevalent. So people are willing to pay more for maybe 3 or 4 special events rather than a season ticket. So they're willing to spend that bit extra if the end product is correct. Very interesting, the all-inclusive piece that was discussed earlier. It's something, and my initial thought was, I couldn't see that working because it'll reduce the B out of the F&B potentially, which is obviously a key revenue line for us. But when you're looking across the season, you've got various different games. We have games that we need to drive content, we need to drive volume. So potentially being flexible and having a look at different product offerings with our partners could be key for us going forward. So it's definitely something I will take away from today.
Yeah, for me, I think it's that flexibility, and going off of what you've just mentioned there, I think whereas a lot of corporate companies would have had an annual box perhaps for a year or multiple years, they'd rather do 2, 3, 4 of these big events and attract sort of a more varied client base to come to those events. Obviously, all of the ones that have been announced recently, and we've spoken about them enough today. But things like that can really kind of those sort of, obviously they're not once in a lifetime experiences, but for a lot of people, these things don't come about too often, and I think companies and individuals are actually seeing it as a far more value for their money than sticking in one place for a certain amount of time.
And Max, just to follow up on that, sorry, you I think you're working on something at the moment that's pretty interesting with the Mike Tyson.
Yeah, so through our Elevate X channel, a bit of a dubious whether you call it a boxing match or not, but there's Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. So we've got kind of some very, very top end packages that we're working on with that, where there's sort of meet and greets, there's signed memorabilia from the fighters, all access all areas, all of those kind of things, and just really trying to sort of, elevate the experience in that sport where, people can get behind the scenes with, definitely, one of the, the legends of the game. Not too sure about the other one, but, I think it's, it's definitely the way that it's going, and, we look to build more of those as we, continue to go through the program. So.
Yeah. Lisa, sorry.
I think this has been bandied about for a while now. I think the way people are buying has changed. I think somebody mentioned earlier, people now sort of buy with their hearts and not their heads. There's all that sort of emotional economy and experiential economy. People, in live music is so important to people, and it can be the story of their lifetime. We hear really sad stories of people who've lost people and want to come to a concert to sort of celebrate their memory, or people who've got sort of life-limiting illnesses who want to see that artist the very last time. And it's sort of looking at those experiences and making them super special for people. Again, I think the way people celebrate have changed. Like, you used to have a birthday, it was one day you might go to the pub. Now people have birthday weeks, birthday months. We've seen it where people have bought a whole box for all the friends, all inclusive, because they want to celebrate with everyone and really go to town. And I think that's a huge change I've seen over the 10 years I've been at the arena.
Okay.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, taking a different slant, what we're seeing is more confidence from the hospitality sector. We've seen the lows, now we're going to enjoy the highs. And what I mean by that is that, just post-COVID, teams and operational teams weren't at that level that businesses enjoyed to be able to deliver these fantastic experiences. But what we are seeing now is, with that confidence coming into play, with teams coming up to that sort of critical mass of execution, more skills coming back into the sector, that's then going to ultimately deliver those better experiences going forward. But then, so it will deliver those better experiences going forward.
And obviously, we've been talking a lot about technology as well today in a lot of the panels. There was something called a parallel reality board, which has been installed in the new Intuit Dome in LA Clippers in Los Angeles. Now, apparently, 100 people can look at that board at the same time and get 100 personalized messages because of, don't ask me how it works, but it's facial recognition, and it picks you out and says, John, welcome back to the game. Your seat's number 212. Thanks for coming for the 4th time this season. And, you know, I was talking to an architect about this, and he was like, well, yeah, it's great, but wouldn't you rather have a ex-professional player coming up and shaking your hand and going, hey, it's great, welcome back, you know. So I just wanted to kind of get your views on how we work with technology versus the human touch.
It's a very interesting question. Again, rugby, traditional, which we're trying to bring along. Ex-pros, current pros, very keen on how we elevate the fan experience. You get an opportunity to meet your hero from yesteryear, but also you've got your opportunity to meet the current players, which is very unique in rugby. I mean, you can't really do that in football to the same degree. Certainly you can't in the, when I was at the O2, like if you got anywhere near an artist, you got shot. So looking at how we can elevate by using the traditional method of players, but then also looking at how we can do light shows at halftime, how we can do, you know, fan projections up to the big screens to bring the experience alive to those who are in the stadium, ultimately to get people in earlier, spend longer time in the stadium, and from my view, spend longer time, you know, consuming in the stadium and, you know, looking at our great sponsors and things like that. But also elevating the environment experience, the noise, the getting people involved, and getting that sort of emotional buy-in, and then ultimately leading to a loyal partner.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, again, I'm a bit of a sucker for the old sort of meet and greet, and you know, just being able to get, you know, close to the pitch and, you know, sort of feel the turf of a, you know, of a football team, or, you know, meet one of your heroes or whatever it might be, or take a bit of signed merchandise. You know, the simple things. I think sometimes we you know, we think we have to sort of reinvent the wheel all the time, when actually what we do is really good. It's just, you know, how we can sort of bring that forward. And yeah, I think, you know, I don't want to veer away too much from you know, some of the good work that we've done and what people do enjoy, and you know, make it this kind of you know, almost contrived experience, you know, where none of it's kind of natural. So yeah, I'm hoping that, yeah, I think, you know, technology and all of those things are going to enhance the experience at some stage. But for me, at the moment, it's still kind of a little bit clunky on the actual sort of match day from my perspective, what I've experienced. And yeah, I don't want to lose kind of the heart and soul of what we do and why we do it, I suppose.
Yeah, it's 50-50. One size, again, in tech doesn't fit all. I love Uber, I love Deliveroo, I don't want to speak to anybody, but yesterday me and my colleague was trying to book a flight and we had to call Ryanair. We couldn't actually speak to anyone from Ryanair, and all we wanted to do was give them some money to buy a flight. So I think it's got its pros and cons. We have digital tickets at the arena. That's great, it speeds up entry, it stops touts. On the flip side of that, you've got old people who can't use their phones. You also, if the Wi-Fi goes down, no one can access the tickets, no one knows where they're sitting. So again, it's really pros and cons, and I think it's down to that individual. I've got some clients who I know they're going to ring me, I want to speak to them on the phone, they want to speak to us, they want to see a friendly face when they get there. I've got other clients who I've probably never met face to face because they just don't want that. And again, I think, again, it's like the packages and experiences, you can't, it's not one size fits all.
Yeah, sounds like you need a parallel reality board at the arena. And Paul, obviously technology is key for what you do, so.
Yeah, absolutely. So our technology, you know, it's people operations, it's getting the right people in the right place at the right time. But you know, technology is an enabler, so it enables those teams to be doing all those great things and providing those experiences. But I think technology has its place, because what it does is it'll streamline. It'll help then those teams that would normally, as our that we would work with, that are working more manual. It gives them the time back, so they can then spend that or invest that into their people that ultimately then will have that impact. So I think we're a people business, it's a people industry, and that will be the first thing, and technology will enable that.
Cool. Great, okay. I think we're sort of coming towards the end here, so I'm just going to open it up for any questions before we wrap up, if anyone has a question.
It's like an assault course.
Hi there. Oh my gosh, sorry. I was really intrigued by the question about what the definition of a great experience is, and I believe it was you, Max, who mentioned the feedback and the fan and the attendee really having a say in shaping what makes a great experience. And I'm wondering how, at kind of in different sectors and at different venues, you get the fans and attendees involved in giving that feedback, because I do think that's a really important aspect of shaping the experience.
So I think, yeah, I think the question was about how do you get feedback from people at your event?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and to be honest, it's really difficult. As you know, when you attend everywhere, you get an email saying, 1 to 5, what did you think of this? All of those kind of things. But something that, really simple that I've always done, whether it be in previous lives at, Goodwood, Ascot, even Tottenham Stadium, was, after a match day, real simple thing of just actually picking up the phone. And calling people, which I know is terrifying to some of us, but I think it's it's a great way to get that kind of initial feedback, and you get more honest feedback, I think, because a lot of times on the day, sometimes clients are with their guests, and even if they're not having a great experience, they don't necessarily want to say that in front of the people that they've got in front of them. So just that follow-up, that follow-up call from there. Aside from that, we've sent fan surveys and that kind of thing, and obviously the greater the reward for completing those surveys, the higher kind of reply rate you'll get. But yeah, for me, there's nothing better than kind of having a half an hour chat through with regard to that experience, ironing out all of those kind of things that you can do better next time.
Anyone else?
Yeah, so similarly, obviously surveys, limited response rate, often the same people. We try and work with our supporters as well. We would do sort of workshops. We would try and get people to come in. We would work through season tickets feedback as well, which we find are brutally honest at times. And then working with them and actually addressing the issues, breaking them down. What can we do? What can we do better? What have we done? And what we find is absolutely key is often we get complaints or suggestions and we action them. But what is absolutely key, and something we're doing a lot more of now, is going back and telling people what we've done. Because it's key to say you asked for X, Y, and Z, and we've done X, Y, and Z plus whatever. Because unless you actually tell people what has happened, what changes can we put in place, and your point of picking up a phone, I think that is key as well. If there's a complaint, the last thing you need to get is 10 emails backwards and forwards. You need to address that problem, have that conversation, and often it's dealt with very easily, very quickly, and it's actually a positive outcome because that human interaction, as great as technology is, there's a place for everything.
Anyone else? No? Well, I think on that note, we'll wrap it up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Right, the final panel session of the day is Playbook for Profits, transform